decided to do this as a kind of a happy hour time to hang out, because I am sure if you're anything like me, pretend I'm me, but I don't cook for a living, I would not have started to think about Thanksgiving until like this week sometime, right? And so I've already cooked a turkey. I've already developed a few recipes for leftovers with turkey, but I really wanted to take this hour to talk to you all about your questions and what you have, what you'd like answered from me about the Thanksgiving menu. Okay. And that doesn't just mean the food. It means anything from the planning to the entertaining parts to knowing when to cook things, how I plan my week all week, right? I treat Thanksgiving, the meal, a lot like I treat meal planning, and I figure out for my whole week when I'm going to cook everything. So it's not left until the last day. So, or the last minute for that matter. So I'm going to make myself a little alcohol-free cocktail. I have some oranges. I keep running out of sparkling water. And then when I'm at the store, I keep forgetting to get it. So I ran down the house to my friend Sunny's to get some sparkling water, and I dropped this one on the floor. So first I need to see if I'm going to make it explode. But while I make this, you guys have a minute to think about if you have any questions. I'm also about to sneeze, so forgive me. I'll try to do it off camera. But I'm taking an orange, so I'll put the camera down just so you guys can see this. I basically am taking stuff that I had in my refrigerator to see if I can come up from, hi, Chris. Hi, Anita. Hi, Susan, to come up with an idea with what I have. And on in Thursday's or in Saturday's Thanksgiving class that I hosted with Lindsay Kinder, she made a French 75 cocktail bar, and she did simple syrup with rosemary in it. Oh my God, I wish you could smell it. It just smells like this. And so I'm going to use just a little bit of that. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put a little bit of rosemary syrup in there. Just a little. That's probably 2 teaspoons that I just used. And I'm going to squeeze some fresh orange juice in there. I'm always sneezing and allergic. I don't think I'm sick, although I was exposed to COVID yesterday. Bah humbug. Without knowing it. No, it was not intentional. That's for sure. But I could always use some good vitamin C. And here we go. All right. Let's do this. Can you see these seeds? I'm going to take those out. Couch found with COVID. Fenna. Oh, good for you. I'm so glad you're listening for tips. And you know what? When I had COVID last December, the only thing that was really, it wasn't even hard. It was like a forced vacation. Have you guys seen the Saturday Night Live skit where it's like, they say, are you an overworked, tired parent? Get a prescription for COVID. And then, so the mom gets COVID and she kicks everyone out of the house. And then she's just like in bed, resting and watching television. And then the joke is like 3 weeks later, she's like, I got it again. You gotta leave. And the husband's like, I didn't even know that could happen. Right? But anyhow, my point was when I had COVID, all I wanted to do was sleep. But it was an amazing excuse to do the things I want to do when I am sitting down, right? And you're just still and you have time to write things down or anything like that. So I hope you get a little start on just figuring out what you want to cook, or if you're going to someone else's house, what you're going to bring. You can make your shopping list. The one thing I'm really preaching about is just making sure if you're going to have a turkey that you've ordered a turkey, because most of the places where you have to pre-order them, they sell out. And I have a feeling this year with people entertaining a lot again, like we've been ramping back up, that they'll sell out. Like I had to buy a turkey for class on Saturday, and it was the last turkey in the store before they got their big delivery for Thanksgiving. So like they went, I had been there 2 days earlier, and there were probably 30 turkeys, and then they were all gone. Okay, my shirt, you guys, is actually pajamas. I put on grilled jeans for you guys. I showered, put on some makeup, but I've been living in my pajamas. They're called Fresh Print or Print Fresh. I think they're called Fresh Print. But it's so funny. I did Instagram Live in these last night after we were done with the photo shoot for my cookbook. And now I just keep putting them back on when I want to relax. So here they are again. Okay, I got myself a little spoon to stir this up. Yeah, my friend pointed out they're not so comfortable that they're silky soft. but they are comfortable enough to feel like loungewear, right? They're just like, they give you space to move and relax. And people keep saying, I like your shirt. I'm like, well, that's a good sign. I thought when I saw that you were wearing jeans, I thought you had a shirt in the same pattern as your PJs. Yeah, Lauren, no. I literally just went down to a Sunny's house in my pajamas to borrow sparkling water. It's kind of my MO. Okay, so let's see what I think about this. This smells amazing. Now, I did put the rosemary simple syrup in here. But did you know that in at the Kentucky Derby, what's the famous drink they drink? Mint juleps, that there isn't any mint in the cocktail itself. It's just that they put a sprig of mint in so you smell it and you think it tastes minty, right? Because all of our senses are so tied together. So I would probably garnish this with a little bit of the rosemary too, because it's beautiful. And then you could also do something fancy like this, which I'll take out of my drink right now. But whether you were doing this non-alcoholic or with alcohol, this would be delicious with vodka. It'd be delicious with gin. But you can put a little orange slice in there and be extra fancy, right? So I'm going to sip on this while we talk. And I can certainly help drive the conversation, but I really wanted this to be an opportunity for all of you, the most loyal House of Haasers, to ask me any questions you've got. So who has the courage to start? Chris, you grew up in Kentucky. You make a mint simple syrup. Well, that's amazing. Hi, Michael Laheim. Where can I find kumquats? Oh, Anita, I happen to have some planted in my backyard, which is cheating. I didn't even choose them. The landscape architect, someone came to like finish out the backyard and she put them in. She potted 2 of them. So they're awesome. But their season, I think, is wintry, kind of like Florida citrus. And you can find them when they're in season. I'll have to look up the season, or you can Google it. But when they have them at Whole Foods. They have them at like my fancy market that I love, Diablo Foods, so much. And they're just, in the citrus section, and they just look like these little baby oval oranges kind of. And you can eat the skins as well and the seeds. They're a little bit bitter, but I like the whole thing. So if you can find them, they're a great alternative citrus. I've seen them served a lot if you slice them really thinly, like on hamachi. So like with sashimi, they're so delicious because you can't eat the whole thing. And they look so beautiful, just little baby slices of citrus, So that's the scoop on that. I am fortunate. But the thing is, you know what? They're in the shade now. Like our trees have grown in a certain way where they're not getting enough sun to grow. And so I actually need to figure out how to get them some more sunlight, because I think we missed the season last time. So so we'll see. Okay, who's going to start us off with actual questions? Okay, let's go, Michael. Fire it up. I like the question because oh, good. We have 2 turkey questions. Let me start by saying I have 2 turkeys on the way to my house from Diestel, my favorite people, and they are the regenerative turkeys, which basically means they're extra special, extra spoiled turkeys that have been living on land that is regenerative, that farmers have rotated the crops and literally made it so they won't have a carbon impact footprint. It's kind of remarkable. Anyhow, I have 2 turkeys coming before Thanksgiving, so I can do more videos and talk to you guys about brining versus not, grilling versus roasting, spatchcocking versus not, all of these things that you guys have questions about. So let's start with Michael's first question. Some turkeys come injected and some not. How do you handle injected versus not injected? I don't buy turkeys that have been injected with anything unless you read on them. Gosh, I wish I had it right now. Injected with like saltwater solution for freshness. But a lot of turkeys, I'm only saying butterball because it's the most common name. I can't tell you the last time if I've ever bought a butterball turkey, but they probably have a higher list. Let's find out. Ingredients in a butterball turkey. Let's find out, because I tend to buy them as plain as possible, right? So when you're getting them, Michael, from a place like Diestel Family Ranch or Willie's turkeys, They are literally harvesting the turkeys this week or the week before, flash freezing them and sending them to you right away. So the ones that are injected, can be like shelf stable or frozen for so long, are usually injected with stuff so that they can last that long. If you want to inject your turkey with anything just because you think it's going to add more moisture, you can, people use syringes to like inject the meat of their turkey. I just brine it. I think some of it, you reach a certain point where it's like people are overthinking it. And I've never heard someone say, oh, my turkey was like 20 times juicier because I injected it with a syringe with brine instead of just brining it in a saltwater solution, right? I mean, I get the thought behind it, but my point is to try to find one with as few ingredients in it as possible. And then you can manipulate it however you want. And you know what goes into it, which is so important for me, is knowing what's in my, look at this, what's in my food. Whole young turkey, frozen little butterball turkey, contains up to 8% of water, 2% or less of salt, natural flavors, modified food starch, sodium phosphate to enhance tenderness and juiciness. What is injected into butterball turkeys? Commonly household spices. One brand rep told me. They will not share the ingredients of its secret basting formula. And then they get into all these things about why you should not buy butterball. I don't have an opinion on that. People get nasty. So that's the point about buying something injected versus not. I try to buy as clean as possible. And then if I want to infuse any flavors into mine, I choose what they are. And I make a brine that has those flavorings in them. Okay. Now let's look at fenna. Every year I follow thawing instructions and bird is always partly frozen. Therefore, it ends up in brine bucket to finish the thaw, no matter my plan. You may have answered an earlier insta, 2 smaller turkeys. It's so funny. I'm a huge proponent of 2 smaller turkeys. And you reminded me, I need to text my friend tonight who calls me every year saying, I have a 24-pound turkey. How do we cook it? If I could recommend anything, buy 2 12-pound turkeys or 2 14-pound turkeys, because when you're trying to cook a turkey that large, you're absolutely right, Fenna, about the defrosting. Like I got my turkey last Friday, and I had to have it ready for Saturday, and it had been sitting in a freezer for who knows how long. I took it out, I put it in a brining bucket, and I just put like lukewarm water on it, right? I didn't want to get it too hot and risk like the change in temperature. So I just kept running batches of lukewarm water until it would get freezing cold, and do it again and again and again. And I let it sit out overnight in that bucket. I wake up and there's still ice in the cavity, but it wasn't so much that I couldn't rinse it out, right? So a lot of times, if you're working with like a 24-pound bird or something humongous, you have to let it defrost for like 2 to 3 days before you can even get it to move around, right? So it's a huge commitment to try to roast a whole turkey that's that big. So yes, I'm always going to tell you to go with 2 smaller ones if you're cooking for a crowd, and they take less time to roast as well, right? But the larger the turkey is and the thicker the breast meat, it's going to just get trickier and trickier to cook the thigh and the breast meat evenly. And so one is going to, finish before the other. And I would always recommend having 2 instant read thermometers so you can tell when each part is done. And they're probably going to be done at separate times. So like you can try to tent the white meat and keep it, if you're working with the whole turkey, to get the thighs to finish cooking. But it's just really tricky. So we'll talk about spatchcocking too, because I think it's the best way to cook a turkey evenly. Turkey question. I often make 2 smaller turkeys, 8 pounds each. Nice. Instead of 1 very large turkey. How do I adjust cooking time so I don't keep opening the oven? Ruth, great questions. And let's just talk about cooking time in general. Okay. So, and especially when it comes down to a turkey, you guys, you can't rely on what the packaging tells you for timing. So it is clearly it's a guide. It is not the exact timing. And so I think, Ruth, they probably tell you how long an 8-pound turkey, they probably give you a range of like 1.5 to 2 hours. I'm just guessing. And the thing is, I cooked a 14-pound turkey this weekend and it was ready in 2 hours, and I cooked it at 375 degrees. And so the thing you have to look for the most is that you have to check the internal temperature of the meat. So go get yourself, you know what? I think we're emailing a list with like instant read thermometer and all these things that are like $10, right? Where you can go and get an accurate instant read thermometer, and you want to check the white meat by inserting the instant read thermometer horizontally through the breast, but not near the bone, right? So say this is my turkey breast, and there's bone. This is the top. So there's a bone coming down here, and this is the bottom with bones. You want it to go right in the center of the breast horizontally. So you get a read in the meat, right? And not near a bone. And when that for the white meat is around 160, you know it's done. When you go to do the same thing in the chicken thighs and the legs, a lot of times, when you put that thermometer in away from the bones, you'll find that it takes longer to cook, right? So you're always kind of trying to balance out the two. So yes, use that as a guide. I start checking my turkey a lot sooner than the instructions tell me to check. I checked mine after an hour this weekend and was shocked. But the thing about opening and closing the oven, Ruth, get someone to help you if your oven's in the wall and you don't have anywhere to like land the thing. Every time you open that oven, as you probably know, you can drop the temperature at least 50 degrees, and then you close it, and it takes a while for your oven to come back to temp. So every time you do that, you risk it taking a lot longer to cook your turkey. So you want to take it out and shut that door and check the temperature of the turkey on a surface with the oven door closed. So don't open the door, pull out the racks, put your head in the oven and wait for the temperature. That's when you lose temperature in the oven, and you're going to add so much time to your cook. So I always tell people, when you check the temperature of your turkey, take it all the way out of the oven, shut that door as quickly as possible. You know, like have someone follow you to the door and shut it, and then do it, and then put it back in. And that allows you, if you want to baste it, if you like that, then you could baste it in between if you like. I think it adds a little bit of something to the skin. I tend to not fuss with mine a lot, except checking the internal temperature. The coolest invention is the meter thermometer, which can stay in your turkey the entire time, and it's wireless. And so you don't have to open and close the oven at all. And it tells you when your turkey's done. It's pretty rad. Traeger also has instant read thermometers with a wire that's so thin that you can close the door to, or you can close the grill, right? And I know Williams-Sonoma makes a great one for indoors where you can close your oven door and it doesn't leak a lot of heat, and it's like that thin. So you're looking at your phone to tell you when your meat is done instead of checking, is it done? Is it done? So all those things are a great investment if you're cooking a lot of animal proteins. That was a long answer. Okay. Chris, I ordered my turkey from Porter Road this year. Tell me about Porter Road. I don't know it. Michael, spatchcocking. I love to do it. I have a recipe. Excuse me, hiccup. I have a recipe on Traeger grills for a maple brined roast turkey that has been spatchcocked. It might be on my website as well. Just go to Traeger Grills and enter my name, Traeger.com. When you guys spatchcock any bird, you take the spine out, and what happens is you can put it flat, right? It's like you butterfly it. So instead of trying to cook this big turkey with meat here and meat on the sides and a hole in the middle where all the air can go in, by cooking it flat, you're evening out the thickness of the meat all the way across. So you're bringing the cook time together on the white and the dark meat and making it more consistent. So it's absolutely the best way to cook it if you're looking for consistent cooking time between the white and the dark meat. You can also ask them to spatchcock it, and then you cut it in half down the breast so you have two separate pieces. They're much easier to deal with. So honestly, this whole idea that you bring this whole roast turkey to the table and it's like, ta-da, it's like totally not the best way to enjoy your turkey. And you will never catch me carving a turkey in front of a crowd at a kitchen table with a large knife where everybody's got alcohol around. It's a recipe for disaster. I always carve my turkey in the kitchen, and I try to make everybody get out of my kitchen, because if you want to carve it well, I showed a little chicken demo with this last night on Instagram. You have to be able to use your hands. It's not attractive. It's just not. I did it in class the other day too. You have to be able to feel where the joints are and cut, so you're not like sawing away hoping that you're hitting the right thing, you know? So spatchcocking is awesome. It's a great way to go if you really care about how you cook your meat, right? It's a lot of reason why people think white meat's like cardboard. It's just because it has to be overcooked to catch up to the dark meat. But when you spatchcock, you have much better chances of it all being ready at the same time. I don't know why the lighting is so rough in here tonight. I'm trying to use that dang light, but it's like not lighting up the kitchen very well, is it? Cut through the thick bones. Oh, you know what? I'm glad you brought that up, Michael, because to be honest, if you're not a person who uses big cutlery a lot, I wouldn't recommend trying to spatchcock a turkey yourself. I am terrified when I have to do it over like 14 pounds. I've done it at Traeger before in front of a live audience, and I don't like it. And most people's knives aren't sharp enough, or you need to have like super industrial shears to do it. So I just am really nice to the butchers where I get my turkeys, and I ask them to do it for me. I am going to do it myself this week because I had them shipped directly from Diestel. And so I'll probably get on Instagram to do it, to show you guys. I use my kitchen shears that are, oh, here they are. I have 3 pairs of kitchen shears. They're all pretty much the same. These are pretty awesome shears, but in order to get through a turkey spine, my friend Austin has a cleaver that's like this thick, right? And probably an extra 2 inches. And it's like you have to hack at it. So I really, unless you're super comfortable with cutlery, I would ask the butcher to do it for you. And if they won't do it, I was going to say something rude. If they won't do it, politely say, I'll come back for it. Please, please, please. And go in there when you know it's a quiet time. Like I go to the store on Tuesday morning for Thanksgiving at 7 a.m. when it opens, before the crowd gets there. Porter Road works with select farms and expertly hand cuts every piece. Wow. Well, the butcher shop has become a cult favorite. That's so cool. That's it. That's awesome. I love the story of Porter Road. Michael, tin shears. I don't think that's hilarious. I would never think about that because I've never needed tin shears before. Okay, what have I not answered so far? And then we can talk about other things, because I have my whole little meal planning guide for Thanksgiving here that I did in class, and I'll talk to you guys about how I break up my week. Oh, the smoker. Yes. Okay, what did you ask about the smoker? Should you cut it up? Susan, I would recommend smoking. Are you using a smoker like one that requires constant addition of wood? Or are you doing something more like a Traeger where it just runs a steady temperature for you the whole time? That's not even going to affect whether you cut it up or not. I'm just curious because that'll affect your cook time, of course. But for a smoker, it's a gas one that runs steady. Okay. You'll run into the same issues with cook times on white and dark meat, no matter how you're preparing it. So if you're worried about your white and your dark meat cooking at the same time, then I would recommend cutting it up, like you said, or spatchcocking it so you can lay it flat and it's all one. So yeah, whatever you want to do with your turkey in general is what I would do if I smoke it. If you smoke it on a Traeger, like a gas one where you add wood to it, the smoking process takes a lot longer because you smoke food below 200 degrees about. Sometimes you can get up to like 215, 220. But so most people end up just tagging on the extra time for smoking and don't include it as cook time unless they're going to cook it like 225 for 8 hours. So when I do my ribs on the Traeger, I give them like 3 hours of smoke and then I move into the cooking process, right? So totally up to you. If you like the flavor of smoke, I would go for it because smoked turkey can be really delicious, but you need to plan for a lot longer. And that's what I would say. Whatever you think, in terms of how much time you're trying to project, whether you're adding smoking time onto it or regular cooking time, I want you guys to plan to have your turkey done an hour to an hour and a half before you think you need it at the table, because you need so much time to allow it to rest, to let those juices reabsorb. And then you need time to carve it. It's really challenging to carve a large bird. I've been telling people, get a chicken and roast a chicken and practice on that first, because you want to remove the legs, you want to remove the wings before you start doing the cuts on on the breast, right? And so what better way to learn than on something that's more manageable? So just make sure you give yourself plenty of time. We let my turkey sit for probably an hour and a half the other day, hour and 15 minutes before carving it. It was absolutely delicious and so juicy because all of those juices went straight back into the turkey instead of out onto the cutting board if I cut it immediately coming out of the oven, you know? Let's see, other questions. Oh, you cook the dressing stuffing separately. Total matter of preference. I love stuffing in a turkey, but if I brine a turkey, brining is a saltwater solution, right? So if you're wanting your turkey to be really juicy, a lot of people like to brine, which I do. I think it actually makes a difference. And all you do is you put it in a saltwater solution with any other herbs, spices, sweeteners that you like, and let it sit overnight. You take it out, you pat it dry, and then you roast it. And so in my brine, I do salt. That's what's going to put the moisture into the turkey meat itself. Then I'll add some brown sugar, maple syrup, some oranges, some herbs, anything that you like, right? And you could actually really taste it in my turkey this weekend, even though I only brine it for a couple of hours. So if you're going to brine with a heavy salt solution, the juices from that turkey drip down and they're incredibly salty. So I recommend not stuffing your turkey if you're brining because it makes your stuffing really, really salty. I don't usually stuff my bird anymore because of exactly that. I want a juicy turkey and then I just do my dressing, stuffing, whatever. I always get lost in what's what. I think dressing is if you make it on the side, right? I do it on the side now, but I like mine to not be like super crispy. So I keep mine covered. And but some people like to take the foil off and let it get crispy and then it's kind of like fluffy underneath. So total personal preference. Hence to, basting. What's the scoop on basting? Fenna, I think that if you're taking it out to check the temperature of the turkey, internal temperature, it's totally cool to baste. I think that like America's Test Kitchen has done things on this. I don't think it makes a huge difference. I love the skin of the turkey. So if you want it to get really golden, it's great to do it. But this whole like take it out and baste it every 30 minutes, I don't think it's worth it at all. So get a baster. I get a disposable one because if you guys don't clean them well, you go the next year, use it, and there are other things that have been growing in the baster. That happened to my friend when he was catering a party, and he basically shot like mold all over something with a turkey baster that he thought he had cleaned the year before. Anyhow, baste it once or twice, get those juices up and baste it, and it'll just get it more golden, and it'll give it a beautiful look, right? Sometimes I'll brush butter on mine before roasting, or I'll put butter under the skin, which it makes the skin beautiful and crispy and delicious. So you can do that too. Hints for making delicious gravy with no lumps. You want to know my secret, Bridget? I will talk about this. And I just did a new Thanksgiving leftover recipe today and I was writing it. Here's the secret. The secret is that you have to add the liquid to the butter and flour mixture very slowly. So I wish I'd saved some. I'll get on Instagram and do this. So just make sure you follow me there and then you can go see my post for this because I'm obsessed with lump-free gravy because unless you know this, you're going to have lumps. You make the roux, which is butter and flour, right? So the roux is the base of the gravy or any sauce that's going to absorb, that's going to thicken whatever the juices are, whether it's turkey pan juices, stock, milk. So like you make a roux for the base of good macaroni and cheese or baked pasta dishes. You do it for gravies, any sauce that's thick, right? So you start by sauteing or by cooking some butter and flour together and you whisk those things together and you cook them for a couple minutes on their own because you want to cook out that raw flour taste, right? It's not attractive. If you were to add all of the liquid at once, you've just got like flour swimming around in liquid. So the trick is you've got this butter and flour mixture in a pan, and then you just want to add the smallest amount of liquid at the beginning. So all of that liquid can get absorbed into the roux mixture, right? So picture this. I'm trying to think of a dissolvable thing. Well, picture a big thing of flour and butter, and you pour like a gallon of water over it. and it breaks into 1,000 pieces, right? So now there are all these little butter flour balls running around the mixture. You're never going to be able to whisk those back together. But by adding the liquid slowly and making sure all of that liquid gets incorporated into the butter and flour mixture every time, you're basically eradicating lumps. And so I did it today, and I started with a 1/2 cup of liquid, and over like medium heat, you're whisking constantly, and you'll see it just soaks it up right away. It soaks up all that liquid, and you're like, okay, great, it soaked it all up, I can do it again. Add another 1/2 cup, right? It's going to start thinning out some, but you want to keep whisking until you don't see any lumps. What you don't want to do is then go pour the rest in because it's looking pretty good. You want to keep going with a smaller amount, okay? And then I give you permission to add the rest of the liquid once it is at a texture and viscosity that's like close to the liquid itself that you're pouring into it. So, because then it means it's all going to be the same. So it's just a matter of putting in small amounts of liquid to start, whisking constantly. And you do not add more liquid until it's all one big pile of butter flour stock, okay? That goes for any time you're making a roux and a white sauce or a gravy or pasta sauce. You know, Michael, about the safe temperature, the bird dries out. Yeah, that's the other reason why I just haven't been telling people to stuff their turkeys forever, because people flip out over temperature and food safety. And I don't want to recommend something that, like, if I'm eating it myself, I don't worry about it. But I never worry about those things. Knock on wood. My stomach is like made of steel that way. So there are a lot of things you have to worry about if you're stuffing a bird, like the temperature of the stuffing and the turkey need to be similar when you put the stuffing inside the bird. Like if you put steaming hot stuffing inside a cold bird, that's how you get food poisoning. So unless it's a tradition that you can't live without, I really recommend just cooking it on the side and then putting turkey juice or gravy over it so you get that mushy yumminess. When it comes to the table, I mean. Lori, great question about, can you use gluten-free flour? Yes, and I did it today. So I've been recommending Bob's Red Mill 1-to-1 baking flour. I'm recommending it not because I work with them, but because it has the fewest amount of yucky refined ingredients in it. So it's the cleanest one you can find out there. And absolutely it works. And rice flour works. At Blackberry Farm, this fabulous place in Tennessee where they have award-winning, like James Beard award-winning food, they use rice flour in all of their roux and gravies because they just want to make it naturally gluten-free for people. So go for it. If you want to reduce the oil calories, bake the flour in the oven or toast on the stove till brown, then less oil needed. Are you talking about stuffing? Oh, I see what you're talking about, roux. Huh. Bake the flour in the oven or toast on the stove till brown. Interesting. Does that go, Michael, have you found for a roux as well? I've always used equal parts of fat to flour for thickening reasons. Huh. Okay. Great. Thanks. Good, Lori. Awesome. Okay, guys, what else? Does anybody have questions about timing? Because I want to explain to you all what I do so that I don't spend my entire Thanksgiving cooking. In fact, I don't believe in it. No martyrdom on Thanksgiving Day. That's my motto this year. Here's what I leave for Thanksgiving. Cooking a turkey and cooking off side dishes that are prepared, right? And if I'm making gravy where I need the pan juices, if I haven't brined it, great. Otherwise, I make my gravy in advance as well. I'm even doing my mashed potatoes in advance this year, you guys, because there are so many ways to reheat them that are great. Like if you have a slow cooker, you can literally put them on the low setting in your slow cooker from cold and just pour a little milk and some butter on top and just fold it in as they warm up, and they're going to be great. It's just kind of like a slow process to bring them back up. You don't want to ever overwork them or keep mashing them, or they're just going to get really glutinous and sticky. So I do everything in advance. And that means that on Saturday, here's how lucky I am, because I can make this meal in my sleep now, right? I mean, I literally can make it in my sleep, and I'll be making so many turkeys before Thanksgiving Day. But on Friday or Saturday of this week, I make my shopping list. So I've determined everything I'm making. And this year, and what I did this weekend for classes, I made stuffing, mashed potatoes, green beans. I made cranberries after class too, just because I love them. I made turkey stock because I had leftover bones from the turkey I had this weekend. But you can use chicken stock too. And there's great turkey and chicken stock for sale in the frozen section in this like white packet, white container with black writing that looks so simple. I can't remember the name of it. But so you can, if you want to make your gravy ahead of time, you can make the roux part, the butter and the flour that I was talking about, and then you add your stock slowly, slowly, slowly. And if you want to add anything else to it, like thyme or rosemary or like shallots, wine, if you want to fortify it with anything. A lot of people do port, or they'll do white wine, or they'll do sherry. Any of those things can be added to it. And then you can refrigerate it, cover it with plastic wrap on the top, because if not, it gets that weird kind of layer of film that floury mixtures give you. And then just heat it up on the big day. And then if you have pan drippings to add to it, you can. Just don't salt your stock until you add everything to it at the end. So if it still needs more salt, great. Cool, right? So I make this plan, and then on Saturday, let's just pretend, because I'll do this weekend. I make my shopping list, and then I also clear out my refrigerator and make sure there's nothing in there that's going bad that I don't need. And then it also inspires me to be like, oh, I want to cook this off or that off just so we can eat it now and we won't have it sitting around taking up space in the fridge, right? So I make the shopping list and I go to the store for things that I want to make in advance. Like I said, I usually pick up my turkey on the Tuesday morning before because I want to have time to brine it. But turkeys are humongous and they take up space. So if you don't have anywhere to put it except your refrigerator, I recommend trying to pick it up a little bit later. But if you're going to brine it, guess what? You can keep it on ice in whatever you're going to use to brine, whether it's a brining bucket. I got this Yeti one from Traeger. It's rad. It's really sturdy and it doesn't cost that much. I was shocked. Or you can buy even a styrofoam cooler and put it in there with ice, right? And then when you're ready to brine it, you can empty out the ice if it's still frozen, or make the brine and chill the brine by putting ice cubes in it to bring it down to temperature, and then just pour that over your turkey and let that be your brining bucket. So that's what I like to do with my turkey. But if I'm going to make anything in advance, I buy those ingredients over the weekend. And I like to go early to the store, because if you go later in the day when the crowds have gone, usually they're just so picked over, you can't find great produce. And then on Sunday, what I do is I confirm how many people are coming over. And then I pull all of the dinnerware and the silverware and the glasses and the napkins and all of the serving things I'm going to need. And I label them with a little Post-it for every bowl and spoon. Like, okay, for the cranberries, I'm going to need a bowl and I'm going to need a little spoon. I need something to put the gravy in. I need a platter for the turkey, right? So I pull out all of those things and I either put them in the corner of my kitchen, or I even put them on my dining room table and take a look at them. And then I determine, do I need to wash everything over again, right? But I get them out so I'm ready. And I always make sure I have an extra 1 or 2 place servings, because undoubtedly, literally somebody shows up at my house. And so, or there's somebody who's been walking around with a plate already and then wants another fresh plate or something like that. So I always make sure I have enough of everything. And if it needs washing, you've got plenty of time to do that, right? A lot of times I'll start the dishwasher at night. And so I wake up and I can just unload it in a couple of minutes and you're good to go. So you could even do a load a night if you need to, for dinnerware, glassware, all that stuff, right? If you're using fancy silver, then you've given yourself time to polish it, make sure it looks okay. And if you're missing anything, like you don't have the right serving utensils, you can ask a friend, or you can, go get some. Then I make plans like on that Monday to make my cranberries. Cranberries can last a long time in the fridge, you guys. And then if I don't have turkey stock, I would make chicken stock that day and get ready to use it for gravy. And I would make, then the next day I would make the base for the gravy. Then on Tuesday, I have that I'm going to blanch the green beans, make my gravy, and make a cheesecake. I would usually make a cheesecake on that Tuesday night. You can absolutely make it 2 days in advance and let it sit in the refrigerator and set up. And then that Tuesday is the grocery store final run at 7 a.m. That's when I also get flowers or anything I want to put on my table. I go and get those things really fresh up, close to the last day. And then for Wednesday, I make plans to brine my turkey and I cook all of the stuffing ingredients. So you'll find on my website, you guys, my favorite stuffing, but I cook everything that's kind of like the filling and the accessories to the bread cubes themselves. And I let it cool and I put it in the refrigerator. You can either put it in a storage container or keep it in the pan you're going to use later. And then on Thanksgiving Day, all I do is bring it back out, heat it up, add the croutons, whatever bread you're using, and the chicken stock or turkey stock if you have it, give it a toss and bake it off. And so the real cooking is not happening that day. I'll probably do my mashed potatoes on Wednesday as well. Actually, I know I will because I want to do it as a test since I always do them the day of. So I'll make my mashed potatoes that day and cook my stuffing ingredients. I'll finish the gravy. I'll brine my turkey. I've already made a cheesecake. I'll probably only make one dessert because my friend will make another. And then, the day before I blanched the green beans for my green bean recipe. And the other thing you can do for that is like saute some shallots or toast the nuts. So I do those little things. And the most cooking I'm doing as I look at this list, the most time I'm probably spending in the kitchen any one of these days is like an hour and a half for actual cooking time, not factoring in cleanup time. So that when Thursday comes around, you guys, I take this and I say, what time do we want to eat? 5 p.m., you say? And I plan my day backwards. So I have a note here that says turkey comes off the grill at 3:30. And then I back into, okay, if I know that for the size turkey I have, it's telling me that it's going to take 3 hours to cook. I'll start my turkey at like 12 or 11:30 and err on the side of caution. If you have to pull your turkey off 2 hours before, don't worry. It's so much better than leaving it until the last minute and everything else is getting cold. Turkey can hold. Tent it with foil on your counter. Don't cut into it until you're ready to eat it. It will keep warm for like an hour solidly before it starts to lose its temperature. And I think it's absolutely great that way because if the other ingredients are piping hot, it's going to warm your turkey back up. But like room temperature turkey is absolutely delicious. You don't want it to be cold like a sandwich, but I would so much rather have room temp turkey to like slightly warm than overcooked, undercooked other ingredients, right? So I do that. And then the only other thing I usually make right at the end is as the turkey's coming off the grill, I put my side dishes in, right? So if I'm baking anything, like if friends bring things or I want to put the stuffing in, I'll finish the gravy if I'm using any juices from the turkey, whether I brined it or not. And I'll make sure that the mashed potatoes are looking good, reheated. And that's it. If you're making a cocktail, I like to do that in advance as well. If you guys took our House of Haas class this weekend, you saw Lindsay's great idea for doing like a French 75 bar, which was so fun. But if I am wanting to have a cocktail that is really easy to make that you can batch, I just make a big batch of whatever it is first, right? And then I leave sparkling water out and an assortment of alcohol so people can pour their own. Or I have wine out, and drinks are one thing where I tell my guests, help yourself. You are in charge of it. If it's really nice as hosts, if one person's finishing up the cooking, if the other host, if there is a second host, is making sure everybody has a drink in their hands or a snack. That's kind of like how we do it. So that's how I do it. And I take a nap every Thanksgiving. I literally build in like 2 to 3 hours on my calendar. Like I'm not doing anything. And it's usually when the turkey goes on, so that I can relax because I know I'm not going to check it for a while. Right. So I might take a nap, hang out, relax, check the turkey after an hour, hour and a half. And then if I know it needs to go in for longer, then I'll shower and then come back out and see how it's doing, so I make time for that. I also make time to go walk with my kids and play football. It's just an annual tradition we have with a bunch of friends. So I build it into my little calendar. Thanksgiving for one, suggestions, turkey breast, etc. Well, first of all, Michael, I hope you have a great surgery. I'll be sending you good vibes. I love a bone-in turkey breast. And if you love the meal, I love the meal. That's why I'm always like, oh yeah, just do it anyhow. A lot of times what I'll do though, we've been places where I've had a Thanksgiving meal that wasn't that good, and I'll come home and make the whole thing later. So I would probably, if you like white meat, I would go for a bone-in turkey breast, and then just pick your favorite things. Like you could make mashed potatoes in advance. You could do the stuffing, like I'm saying, if you want a little salad or some green beans or something green to round it out, and then just go easy on yourself. If you want a sweet treat, you can always buy something already made that's fabulous. We have so many options these days, Susan, do I have a favorite sweet potato recipe? I do. First of all, there's stuff on my website. Let's go there first. I have a hard time remembering what's on my website versus what's on Traeger versus Amanda Haas cooks sweet potatoes. Let's see. Sheet pan smoky sweet potato hash. Oh, I have spatchcock sweet potatoes. Those are super cool. Oh, last year I did sweet potato casserole with crispy bacon and marshmallows. If you're not a marshmallow person, don't use the marshmallows. But the bacon on it is really delicious. So mine are pretty over the top here. I have a new sweet potato recipe coming out where all I do, you guys, I roast the sweet potatoes in their skin in the oven at 400 for like 40 to 50 minutes until they're soft, right? I let them cool down enough to split them open and peel off the skins. They mash so easily. So I mash them up, and you can add a little bit of orange juice if you want sweet flavor. You can add butter if you want to get them a little bit like creamier. Some warm spices like cinnamon, nutmeg, ginger, and a splash of maple syrup or honey, or brown sugar if you prefer. They're so simple. So there are a bunch of recipes on the internet for like mashed sweet potatoes that don't have marshmallows if that's not your thing. And they're absolutely so easy to make. And you can definitely make them the day before. That's what I love about sweet potatoes too. They hold up really nicely. They're also simple. I just keep getting simpler with them because they just take on flavor really nicely, Susan. So I think the last one I did, I literally like squeezed the juice of an orange in. I did some orange zest from the outside. I added a little bit of cinnamon. I added a little nutmeg, a little ginger, and a little clove, right? So a little bit of all of those, like pumpkin pie spice, whatever they're selling now is pumpkin pie spice, like a teaspoon of that. It's just all of those warm spices. And then I did a little bit of butter and then a splash of maple syrup. And everyone's like, these are the best sweet potatoes you've ever made. So simple. Tricks on keeping the turkey breast moist, same as everything else, Michael. I would brine it if you have time. If not, it's so much easier to just cook one piece of turkey compared to dark and light meat at the same time. So just watch the time on it. Don't overcook it, and you're in great business. Some of the best turkey I've had is when I just throw it in the oven and I haven't done anything to it. Olive oil, salt and pepper, and I just make sure I take it out on time, and you can't go wrong. It's just usually, we tend to overcook it. But if you have a good turkey, you're going to be in great shape. What else? Any other questions, my friends? I love hanging out with all of you. Thursday night, we're going to do baking, which, look, do I make mashed potatoes ahead of time? So I've started to, Susie, and I never used to. I always make them right before dinner starts, but it's kind of hectic to be doing all of that at the end. Even if I peel my potatoes early and I dice them and I let them sit in cold water in the fridge. You can do that for a day ahead. So if you insist on making them right before the meal, you can. But I am doing them in advance now. And I love your suggestion about making them in the morning and putting in the crock pot with an inch of milk on top to keep warm up to 5 hours. You don't even need an inch of milk on top. You barely need any. When should I add butter when making mashed potatoes so not gluey? And should we peel potatoes before boiling or after? Oh, I love all these potato questions. Okay, I add most mashed potato recipes will tell you to add milk or cream and then butter. And then if you want to add extra butter on top just to look amazing and have melted butter, you can do that, right? So I add the butter when I'm mashing them. The part about them becoming gluey doesn't have anything to do with the butter. It has to do with people over mashing their potatoes. So you don't ever want to put them in a stand mixer or use electric beaters. Both of those things will turn them into glue. You can use a potato ricer. You can use a masher. I'm just back to using my favorite masher, this GIR. I love this masher. I'm obsessed with it. And then, so if you do them the morning of, make them, add the butter, hold them in your slow cooker on really low heat, as low as possible, covered. Add like a small layer of milk. If it starts to dry out, you can add more, but an inch will make the whole thing probably too runny. It'll make your mashed potatoes too runny. And then when you bring them out to the table, you can always add some melted butter on top or a couple more pats of butter to melt and just look amazing, along with some flake salt. The trick to the best mashed potatoes, you guys, you have to season them well. So I always start with unsalted butter because I want to be able to add the amount of salt I want to add. So you always want to taste as you go and add salt as you go. So I usually start with like a teaspoon, and they're going to take more than you would probably imagine. But if you're using kosher salt, again, not iodized salt, you won't have to use as much as you think probably compared to other things. And it's so much better for you. So I always add as I go, and don't be shy. We do this once a year with mashed potatoes, and just enjoy them is what I say. So yes, I love the crock pot idea, and go for it. Oh, and peeling potatoes. I peel mine before, but if you guys like to peel them after, I have the best video up. If you Google it right now, let's see if we can find it. It was on Williams-Sonoma like 6 years ago, and I'm peeling potatoes after they're boiled, and I'm showing you this hack. Let's see if I can find it. Amanda Haas. Peeling potatoes. Williams-Sonoma. Williams-Sonoma recipes and cooking ideas. How to peel a bunch of potatoes really quickly. Here it is. 2017. What are we? So that's 5 years ago, September 24th, 2017. I teach you how to do it. So you boil them whole with their skins on until you can pierce them with a knife or a fork, put them into ice cold water, and then you pick it up and you twist the skin and it just falls off. I want to show you guys this. It gets to that part. It's really fun. Let's just watch it, shall we? Let's see if it'll come up. I'm sure it's got funny music. La la la. Hi, I'm Amanda. Okay, here we go. Let me just fast forward to the part.
Now I've prepared an ice bath, and all I'm going to do...
Let's turn it. Oops. Is it starting over? Okay, here we go.
Prepared an ice bath, and all I'm going to do is put them directly into the ice bath for about 5 to 10 seconds. And look, this is all you need to do. Grab it, and you can feel that the skins are loose, and you're just going to twist. And the skin comes right off. Where has this hack been all my life?
Isn't that fun?
So easy.
Twist. So
that's it. An easy hack for peeling potatoes and saving tons of time.
Okay, so here's my honest opinion on it. It is fast and fun, but I figured like it's kind of messy to take the hot potatoes in the cold water and then they're slipping and you're twisting and then you kind of have to change the water. So although it's super fun to be able to show people you can just slip the skins off of a whole potato, I don't know if it ended up saving us much time. That's for mashing. Believe it or not, I use russet for mashing most of the time. I like Yukon Golds for different recipes, but for Thanksgiving, I just keep it classic. Yukon Golds, you can leave the skin on. They're really delicious if you leave the skin on and mash them. Okay, let's take one last question. I can't believe time's almost up. Anything else? Anyone? Bueller? I always have so much fun with you all. Okay, I answered the questions. I hope many of you are coming back on Thursday night. This light is going to drive me crazy. Oh, look at that. If I stay back here, it's because I was too close. Susan, what turkey do I order from Diestel? They're all amazing. They sent me the regenerative ones this year, which are quite pricey. I usually order literally like the middle of the road version from them. They're all fantastic. The thing is, when you're getting organic there versus non-organic, if you know anything about organic farming, Most of the non-organic turkeys are probably organic, but because you have to have all of your land certified and it takes years to get certification for the land to be organic, they can't call all of it organic when you're trying to like switch over. So if you don't want to splurge for the organic, don't worry about it. I usually get kosher, which is also very pricey. Yes. So I say get whatever you can afford, whatever's in your price range, and you won't go wrong. I mean, I used their most basic one this weekend, and it was absolutely delicious. Sound good? Okay, friends. I will be back on Instagram every flipping day doing so much Thanksgiving posting. You'll be sick of me. But I'm so happy to be done with my book and back focusing on my favorite holiday of the year, Thanksgiving. And I don't know if I shared with you guys, but oh, good, Susan. I am going to Sunny's. So I am taking the party to her for Thanksgiving, and then I'm hosting Christmas. And so I don't have to do the table settings and stuff this year, but I'm literally bringing all of the food down the street to her house, which I love. So I'll be doing the cooking, and I'll be doing a ton of cooking for you guys in advance. Like I said, I developed a new baked pasta recipe today with turkey in it. So you'll be getting my leftover ideas as well. So make sure you're signed up for my mailing list when you go to amandahaascooks.com, and you'll get new recipes from me coming soon today as well. Okay. Thanks everyone for hanging out. Have a lovely week. And I hope to see most of you on Thursday. Okay. Bye. Oh, wait, that's not the right button to push when I want to end this. Okay. Bye guys.